Eternals is not a very good movie. You know, coming off of Black Widow, I'd hoped that this movie would stand out more, but unfortunately it doesn't. The Eternals are godlike beings that have sort of safeguarded humanity with a guiding hand over the last few millennia, aiding the trajectory of humanity's evolution and history. They were created by a celestial with the sole purpose of protecting humanity from these other godlike beings called the Deviants. We've seen the Celestials pop up a few times in the MCU, but Arishem, the Celestial who created the Eternals, is like one of the OGs. Their technology and protection has allowed humanity to come into its own as intelligent life. It's explained that the Eternals are only allowed to intervene in human conflicts if the Deviants are involved. However, this came across as kind of an excuse for their existence, since events like Thanos wiping out half of all life in the universe, or Ultron devastating humanity with an asteroid completely, are major threats that we've seen in the MCU that 100% deserve their attention. However, once they destroy all the Deviants thousands of years ago, their mission was basically complete, so they split up and go live amongst the humans. Now, there are things I liked in the film. For one, the CGI isn't that bad. This is the kind of film that demands CGI, since action scenes involving Eternals are way more than just fist fight with mercenaries. There are some beautiful shots with stellar cinematography that bring out the film's godlike tone. The movie takes place in many different locations and in different points in human history. The Amazon, London, England, ancient Babylon. The slow moments of the film take place on mountaintops or in spaceships. There's a lot of biblical imagery, vivid, gorgeously lit scenes that translated to screen very nicely. And that's about as nice as I can get with this one, so brace yourself. So there are 10 Eternals present in this film, however only about 5 are actually important to the story. Cersei is arguably the main Eternal, as once Ajak, the leader in the beginning, dies, Cersei is then instructed to take her place, forcing her to track down the rest of the Eternals for this film's main conflict. Some of the Eternals just have no reason to be here. Angelina Jolie as Thena barely talks and is mostly there to be stoic and beautiful. Barry Cohegan as Druig is virtually pointless. Don Lee as Gilgamesh has nothing to do and dies halfway through. I mean, Kumail Nanjiani as Kingo literally leaves the story before the final battle and then just shows up at the end, completely downplaying his presence. The main conflict here is that Cersei needs to reunite the Eternals in an attempt to stop the emergence, which involves a new Celestial being born on Earth that will destroy life on Earth so that new stars will form harboring new life. And that's a very interesting dilemma. Does humanity deserve to continue living at the expense of millions of other life forms existing? The problem with this film is that it's juggling this existential moral dilemma while also juggling pointless romance, family, love, secrets, and other plot points. It can't really balance all of these, so it suggests all these worthy ideas but doesn't really delve into them enough to make a cohesive film, which is why this film feels dull and bland. There was nothing I really latched onto in any significant way, and that's a damn shame. And a big contributor to this is the characters. Each of these actors are fine in their roles, and some of them, like Brian Tyree Henry, bring humor and charm into this film and actually had me laughing a few times. But ultimately, they're just boring. None of these characters are as well developed as some of the MCU's best characters, Thanos, Tony Stark, Peter Quill, and so on. We are focusing on 10 characters here, all of which we've never met. It's kind of asking a lot for the audience to care about 10 main characters. Imagine if The Avengers was the first time we met Tony Stark or Steve Rogers. That film's emotional struggle just wouldn't have meant shit if we didn't know our heroes, and that's one of this film's main issues. Another one of the big problems of this film is its scope. Endgame exists. We've seen the MCU tackle a project that deals with the entirety of the universe, immortal beings, and creation, Thanos being the ultimate threat to humanity's and the universe's well-being. Seeing gods battle it out, especially with how bad the Deviants were, literally just showing up to attack humans every once in a while, and then not even ending up being the main antagonist by the end, would have had to be done much better than this for me to gravitate towards it and call it good. That being said, I do see the potential in the Eternals sort of shaping human mythology with names like Icarus and Gilgamesh. I think it's interesting that Phastos technology guides humanity's technology, from its most basic, with inventions like the plow, to some of its most advanced, like the atomic bomb. This makes the Eternals feel like important protectors of mankind. Their powers really make some of the strongest MCU characters like Captain Marvel or Thanos feel like they're wearing diapers. However, this doesn't make them compelling characters like Thanos. Each of the Eternals has unique powers, but they all feel like the same character because none of them have enough emotional depth and charisma to stand out from each other. They sort of just blend into this one group of people that feel like they're the same. As I said, Cersei is the main Eternal, but she's boring. She has no depth to her other than she married Icarus thousands thousands of years ago, and their romance was just not done well. They don't really have chemistry. So many times this film just fell back on the star power of their actors, just lingering on their stoic faces with godlike music in the background, hoping that this would give off the impression of emotion. But I just wasn't buying it. I wasn't feeling the emotion. I think that this film tried to focus on being this grand epic, but it didn't really feel like that. This is the kind of film that should be gripping, but as the film went on, I just got increasingly bored. I've heard some critics say that this film feels like a different kind of MCU film, and I wholeheartedly disagree. This movie is as formulaic as any other MCU property. There's humor sprinkled throughout, even if it doesn't match the film's tone. There's a final CGI heavy battle. There are lots of flashbacks that are not in chronological order, and so on and so forth. In my opinion, the MCU shines when they make films or TV series that are fun, adventurous, with lots of heart. Think of some of the MCU's best projects: Thor Ragnarok, Iron Man 3, Avengers Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy. What all of these have in common is that they're fun, adventurous stories with compelling, relatable emotions. Director Chloe Zhao didn't really go in this direction. Instead, she focused on making this film feel grand, epic in scale, and larger than life, and it doesn't feel right in certain ways. Oh, and they have Harry Styles playing Eros, the brother of Thanos. Are you shitting me? Yeah, I really checked out when I saw that. I'm sorry, guys. So in the end, Eternals could have been an intriguing deep dive into the history of humanity, and thus setting the stage for the pivotal events that we've seen already. But instead, it just feels boring and subsequently hollow. It's not a bad movie, and as a continuation of the MCU's overarching narrative, I would encourage every MCU fan to see it. The film looks good, the filmmaking being pretty decent, but the writing, the story, and the characters matter most. And while a good premise is hiding in this movie somewhere, ultimately, it doesn't really see the light of day. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe to the channel. I'd be more than appreciative if you did. Have a great day, and I will see y'all next week. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.